Hey everybody, so I have not done a first impressions video in a pretty long time, about a good month and a half, and I saw that Aura Fragrance had a really good discount on 4 ounce or 120 milliliter testers of red tobacco, which is a fragrance I have tried in the past. I've sampled it. I really enjoyed it, but I don't remember why I enjoyed it. I haven't finished that sample. It's been a long time since I've had that sample. If you do know Mancera, if you are aware of what they did with their bottles, they have slightly repackaged their atomizers and their caps. So I'm hoping this is a slightly older formulation. If not, that's okay. But this literally came in the mail about an hour, couple hours ago. Only got the notification a few minutes ago. So I'm a bust this thing open and see what we're dealing with. Always good to have some multi-tool on you whenever you're doing first impressions. When you got a lot of packages coming in the mail, it's always good to have a little multi-tool. As I mentioned before, this is a tester. So no full Mancera presentation, no pouch. I'll do a actually, yeah, let me grab it really quick. Sorry for the weird interruption, but I wanted to show you. So this is Montal. This is white oud, which I've mentioned in my channel before. Might do a review on it eventually, but Montal and Mancera are basically the same fragrance house. They're like sibling type of companies. Pierre Montal managed both of these fragrance houses. If you are in the fragrance world, you know this already, but just for those who didn't know, let's throw that out the way. Here's a little 4 ounce tester box, plain. As you can see, it said red tobacco on the front, tester. So, yeah, this is, I don't know. I've never had a tester of Mancera or Montal in my hand before. There's the bottle. This feels like, okay, so this is an older formulation, and the reason why you could tell right away, number one, the cap is still the screw cap, as you see right there. And number two, let's see if I could get this thing to focus. Red tobacco right there. I'll leave the notes up somewhere. This has been hyped to death compared to Carlisle from Parfum de Marly. And more recently, a lot of people have compared this to like Triumph of Bacchus or Mystery Tobacco from Carolina Herrera. So I've not sampled any of those fragrances, so I can't tell you what it's like. I am worried because this is known for being a monstrous projector and a monstrous fragrance. So I'm a little worried that I'm going to make my room smell like red tobacco for a couple of days. Okay, literally I'm doing one spray. Yup. Ooh, that's strong. Fruity at the top. I get some fruitiness at the top right away. Ooh, that is fucking potent. Okay, yeah. I am glad I did one spray. Yeah, my room is going to smell like red tobacco for the whole day. There's no way. It's 75 degrees outside. This is going to last in my room for at least a cool day or two. My arm, I don't know if you could see it, but it's right next to my leg. I have my arm on my leg, and the first blast is just fucking exploding in this room right now. Yeah, they weren't kidding when they said this thing was a beast mode projector. I've only had a sample. It was a dabber sample from Lucky Scent. I bought Under My Skin from Francesca Bianchi, which I will review eventually. And this is one of the fragrances I sampled. They give you a complimentary, I think, 1 milliliter or 2 milliliter dabbing sample. So that was one of the fragrances I sampled. It was never this fucking potent because that's a dabber. This is a full-on Mancera atomizer. Granted, the pressurized atomizers are better. I've seen them. They look better. Ashy. Very ashy, actually. Ooh. It's fruity sweet, but there's something like dirty about it. Yeah, really ashy. Hmm. I get a slight synthetic oud vibe, and you do get this with Manceras and Montals. I haven't sampled all of them. I've sampled a few Montals, and I kind of get that same screechy oud vibe here. Not really the forefront because it is so red hot, fruity, little spicy. Yeah, this is one that you do not want to smell right up in your skin. This is something that smells better in the air, at least in the initial opening. Damn, this is potent as hell. Now, yeah, really strong. Not for the faint of heart. If you are very sensitive to fragrances, avoid this by all costs. Especially if you're talking with an older formulation of red tobacco, you definitely avoid it because this thing is loud, really loud. Whew. I was not expecting this because the sample that I tried did not have this amount of earthiness or dirtiness to it that I got off a full atomizer spray. And that's another thing. When you sample, even though you're sampling a fragrance, you're never going to get that full bottle experience. So if you're able to sample a fragrance, get a sample, but also if you have the chance to spray the bottle on yourself, do it. Use the bottle to spray like your forearm, somewhere where you could come back to smelling it. I would not recommend your hands because you do wash your hands a lot. You touch a lot of things with your hands, so the scent itself will naturally just differentiate the more you use your hands. Something like your forearm, you don't really touch as much with your forearm, so that's just my advice. It almost came across rubbery for a little bit. It kind of went away, but when I was saying like dirty and earthy, it also had a little rubber quality to it. Very harsh opening. Very harsh opening. Not for the faint of heart. If it had been any warmer, I would be headache induced right now. I'm almost getting there, but not quite. I need a breather. I need a breather. Very intense. Very intense experience. Like I mentioned, this is a tester. Let's see. Does it say it at the bottom? No, it does not. But just in case, if you're wondering, that's what it says on the bottom of the bottle. And obviously, if you have been into the fragrance game for any amount of time, you know that this thing has been hyped to death. Um, I will bring a decant fittingly in this little red bottle, little red capsule. I'm going to bring a decant over the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas when I go back to Los Angeles. And I'm a little worried. I think 5 milliliters is a little too much. 5 milliliters is a very good sample size, but because of how potent this thing is, I don't even know if I need 5 milliliters. And granted, yeah, it is the Mancera atomizer. It's not the little sample decant atomizer. So it might be a little different. And I do have the little 1 mil sample back home. So this one is going to take some time to get used to for me. It's settled down. It's a lot more smooth because the initial opening was just fucking loud, brash, harsh, sharp. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say right now. It's just a lot of different things going on. Spicy, sweet, earthy, dirty, little screechy, oudy touch to it. Synthetic, not natural, and I have not smelled natural. I'm just assuming because of the price point, it is synthetic. Very headache inducing almost, especially if you spray this on in the dead of summer, anywhere that's warm. Yeah, no, don't do it, red tobacco, please. I get a slight Play-Doh. It's starting to smell like Play-Doh. I don't. I When it softened up, it smelled more like Play-Doh now. So something to keep in mind. Obviously, what I smell is not what you're gonna smell, but this is what I'm getting, and obviously, this is a tester. I'm getting a little bit of a Play-Doh vibe with the bottle that I have. Obviously, this is a first impression, so this is not gonna be testing like longevity. Obviously, this is going to be a beast mode fragrance. It's just freaking loud, number one. And number two, it's been known for being a beast mode fragrance. So I'm expecting it to be a beast mode fragrance. If it's not, you'll hear it from my review because I will review this eventually. Damn. I wouldn't call the opening completely challenging. It's just you need to brace it. You need to brace a very loud, arrogant fragrance in the first couple minutes. It's still very strong, don't get me wrong, but the first couple minutes is very sharp and astringent. So just be careful of that. People have been turned off by that because it does come across really synthetic. I get a little bit of it. It's just really sharp. I don't know why they even sell it in a freaking 4 ounce bottle. Because you're probably never going to, at least from my first impression, you're never going to run through this whole thing. There's no way in the world. Like Cedrat Boissé, for example, it's so wearable. It does last a good amount of time. Very versatile. The scent profile is very versatile. You can wear it whenever. The projection is good, but it's not like outrageously strong where you cannot wear it in casual situations. This one is going to be situational, not just because you can't really wear this in the dead of summer, but because it's so loud. It's really, really loud. And not for the faint of heart. Very different scent profile. Yeah, the more I smell it, the more I get this Play-Doh vibe. I don't know. It's been what, like 5 minutes or so, and ever since the first couple minutes was that little sweet sharpness with the little oody touch and all of that, I've been getting Play-Doh. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's what I've been getting. I'll be back probably in like 3 or 4 hours because this is supposed to be a very long-lasting scent. So for you all, it'll be a clean 1 second transition or something. But for me, I'll be back in about 3 or 4 hours. All right, so it's been 4 hours. I think right now it says about 8:11, 8. Yeah, about 8:11. So I sprayed this around 4 o'clock. It's been a little over 4 hours. You saw in the initial first impression, I did 1.5 sprays at most. Definitely present. I don't have to like go dig my nose into my arm. It's still a good few inches away from my arm. As it settled down, it got a lot more approachable. At first, I want to say hour or so is that Play-Doh vibe, and my assumption is that it's just a mixture of all these spices mixed with the incense note at the top, and then maybe a little bit of that synthetic oud that just gives it this Play-Doh vibe. That gets off after the initial first hour or so. After that, it gets really, really pleasant. You get a touch of tobacco, not too much. It's kind of like Fan Your Flames by Nishane, where the tobacco is there, but it's not the forefront of the fragrance. I think might have been just a little bit of misunderstood type of name. Red definitely fits the vibe. There is tobacco, but this is a lot more sweet, vanillic, fruity, dark in the opening initially, and then as it dries down, you get more of that vanillic touch. You still get a little bit of a dark, spicy vibe, but it's very mellow. It is actually quite dry. I wouldn't say this is a very approachable scent to begin with, especially with the opening. As it calms down, like I mentioned before, it is a lot more approachable. If you're going to wear this out in public, I would not wear the first hour of the life of the fragrance out in public because it's just that damn dark. It's really, really Play-Doh-ish to my nose. I don't know how other people are going to smell it, but it's very ashy, dark, almost earthy. A little bit of fruitiness to offset that initial harsh opening, but it's not going to offset it completely. So if you're looking for a challenge, at least in the opening, if you're looking for an opening that is very, very challenging, not just because it's synthetic, but because it's such a brash combination for all these unusual notes that come together. I'm not saying that like oud saffron is like uncommon. I mean, to the majority of people, especially in the West, that is uncommon. But when you mix that in with like incense, you mix it in with like pear, fruity notes, apple. Yeah, just a very unusual combo you don't see all that often. Very, very difficult, especially within the first couple of minutes. The first hour is, I guess, somewhat manageable, but it is not for the faint of heart, like I mentioned in the past. Yeah, there's a lot of vanilla in the base. And if you're looking for something sweet, inviting, you have to wait for the mid and the dry down for this fragrance if that's what you're looking for. Little bit of tobacco gives it a slight mature edge to it. I wouldn't call this like a 30 and up scent, but I do not see someone like a high schooler walking this. I have to find the proper situation to wear something like red tobacco, especially because of that initial opening. So this is not going to be one I reach for all the time, but when I need it, it's going to be used. I think I could see myself wearing this in dead of winter for sure, fall for sure. There's going to be a couple days coming in soon where it's going to start getting pretty chilly and cold. And I think in that time of the year, I could definitely rock it. Thinking maybe more so second semester than first semester, as this first semester is slowly wrapping up. We have Thanksgiving break in a couple of weeks. I think as it starts heading into like December, January, February, I will be able to rock this a lot. But yeah, if you like this first impression on Mancera Red Tobacco, leave a like on this video. Comment down below. What do you think of Red Tobacco? Have you tried it before? Is that opening really harsh for you? I don't know if you could verify it for me, but because I do have Cedrat Boy say, the cap on this, maybe I just forgot how the cap on Cedrat Boy say feels like, but I think the cap on Cedrat Boy say is a little heavier. I don't know. That could just be me. I saw the 22 batch as I was wearing the fragrance. I saw the bottom. It said 22 on it. So my assumption is this is a release from this year, and I don't know if they did the reformulated bottles for this yet, if they did the magnetic cap with the pressurized atomizer. So I don't know. This seems a lot more wearable, especially in the dry down. The opening, though, is still very, very harsh. So something to keep in mind if this is a 2022 batch. Still pretty potent. I wouldn't say. Yeah, I could definitely smell it though. That's the thing. I would not spray too much of this, especially if you're trying to get through that first hour to 2 hours of the initial spray. Yeah, definitely give this a little bit of time. I would spray it in very different parts of my body. I'm not spraying the side of my neck with this because if I spray one side of my neck, I have to spray the other side. I don't want to do that. I'll do like the back of my neck, maybe my triceps. And then if I'm really feeling like I need to like show out, then I might spray maybe like my clothes, but I do not want to spray like a white t-shirt or something. I did the sample. Give me a second. So I don't know if you could see it, but this is a little 5 milliliter sample I sprayed red tobacco in. This is what I'm going to bring back to LA. I don't know if you could see the juice color in there, but it's not the darkest thing in the world. I have a few fragrances with a much darker juice color, but just because it's so long lasting and projecting, I guess I would say long lasting because the projection is actually still fairly strong. Being 4 hours later, I do not have to dig my nose into my arm. I'm literally like a good 4 inches, 3 inches in front of my forearm, and I still get really hefty wafts of this vanillic sweetness, touch of like earthy, slightly piped tobacco type of smell. Comment down below like I mentioned before, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.